Alright, hello guys, this is Iron Gut. I am making a tutorial here. Since I heard the idea pop into my head sometime, inspired by someone, I can't remember who. But yeah, basically making a tutorial about my method of inking, coloring, and shading a picture. Um, it's something I discovered a little while ago. It's really quick and easy. So here we go. We're gonna be doing this picture here, which I got done by Gothic Commissions. This is two of my characters, Iron Gut the shark and Greg the dolphin. Iron Gut, of course, swallowing Greg or starting to. So this was just a sketch. So what I'm doing first is I'm making a background color layer and duplicating the original sketch and putting it over, and then decreasing its opacity so it's kind of grayed out. That way I can see the lines I'm making. The first thing I do is I make a layer to create the ink. And how I create the inking is I take the pen tool, make sure it's in not in shape mode but in path mode, which I just checked, go over and begin to basically trace using the curves, all the lines that are done on the picture. This takes a little while, but the results really do look good. And of course you make this layer on a black color layer with a mask of black, and then what you do is you take a brush size that's around 3 pixels or so and a foreground color white, and you stroke that path that you've just made using right click stroke, and as you can see, it makes that black outline, which is basically a solid line, a clean line, and perfectly contoured to the way you want, you know, no pencil marks, nothing. It's just a black line. And this is how I ink, is I go through the picture, and of course this is the inking process. It's not very hard, but it is long and tedious in that you go over every single line and retrace it. And yeah, so this is going to take a little while, but basically you can just watch me as I do this. Like I said though, going through this this process is really pretty simple and easy. I found I really like it, and it's gotten me to do really good art and such, or at least good quality inking and colorings. And you can take any step of this alone and leave it and it'll look good. But yeah, inking the leg now. And if you don't know about how to use the pen tool in Photoshop, which I'm using Photoshop version 7 by the way, really old school, but hey, I like it. It does everything I need it to do and nothing else, and it's lightweight, so I use it. But if you don't use the pen tool or know how to use the pen tool, I really recommend it. In terms of, you know, creating furry art, it's essential. Like, essential to the 17 billionth degree. You know, you can't do furry art without the pen tool unless you are the cream of the crop, aka like blotch level, or Nars, or Wind Dragon, I don't know, somebody. You know what I mean? Unless you're a big known name in the furry art community, you can't do furry art without the pen tool. So yeah, go one line at a time, trace it, and then right click stroke path, and make sure you're stroking it in white, and then delete that path and start the next one. And as you can see, I'm already halfway done with Greg. And then of course, since it is a mask and a rasterized mask, all you got to do to clean it up is just use the paintbrush in either white or black. Black to delete something, white to create something. In the ink layer though, you really don't want to create anything with the brush. You want to create everything with the pen tool, because it'll be cleaner, more even, and uniform, I think is the word I'm looking for. But yeah, so moving on to the arm. So since this is going to take a little while, Um, yeah. I found out about this. Well, I didn't find out about this technique. I came up with this technique, um, kind of out of nowhere. I actually don't remember how I figured out that I could ink by using the pen tool and stroking it. I think I might have been working on some other piece of like general digital art, and I went made a line, and I accidentally clicked the paths option in the pen tool, and I went, hey, this doesn't automatically make a shape, it makes a line. Well, that's great. And then I found out that I could fill that line or then stroke that line, and the second I found out I could stroke that line, I went, ha, that comes in handy. And from there I started inking things. Yeah, before that I used to just manipulate the contrast and brightness until, you know, the sketch kind of looked like a solid couple of lines. And I still do that every now and then if it's a really, really good sketch, but yeah, this method is much better, even though it does take longer and is more tedious. And one of the great things about it, one of the really great things about this method, is that once you know the pen tool, you can take the pen, you know, you can take the path you've just made, and if you've made the path in a bad way, you can fix it really easily by again using the pen tool. All you got to do is just go over and go to the pen with the little plus sign next to it instead of just the pen by itself, and look for the anchor points, or basically the points you clicked when you used the pen tool the first time, and drag the little thingies around until the line looks right, and there you go. You fixed it, you know. It works. Yeah, so I'm pretty much done with Greg, and now I've moved on to the feet and legs of Iron. And this is what I'm talking about. I'm about to change. You see that squiggly part right on the sole of the foot? I need to change that, and boom, I just changed it. You see that? That's how easy and good the pen tool is for this. Yeah, right click. Oh, nope, that needs a little fixing. Okay, fix that one. Right click, stroke, brush, bam, done. And then of course the other toes. But yeah, I found out about this technique, and then of course coloring. After I found out how to ink was really, really easy. I just make a color layer, and then I make a mask on that color layer that basically and if you don't know what a mask is, you really need to learn it, but it's not that hard to learn. It basically just means a black and white like thing that defines, or you know, you basically, it's like cutting out a piece of black cardboard, you know, and putting it over a white sheet of paper. Where you've cut out, it'll, whatever's underneath it'll show through. Whatever's black will not show through. That's basically what those masks do, and they're absolutely essential and wonderful and great. But more about coloring when I get there. I've done so far about somewhere along the lines of 24 or so pictures I've inked with this technique, and each one I think I've gotten a bit better and a bit faster with it. You know, my boyfriend Tank, he watches me work on a pic that, you know, on a pic for him when I'm at his house, and he just goes, damn, you do that just so quick, how do you do that? I'm just like, I've been doing it for a little while now. Practice makes everything. Or perfect, if you want to get the saying right. Yes, I'm silly like that. And that's one of the things he loves about me. And what I love about him is he's the same way. Yes. I mean, one of the problems, back to the art thing, one of the problems with me, and yes, that just went funky, don't worry, it's correct. But one of the things about me is I can't draw the original sketches for crap. I can ink and color like a madman. You know, I can make a finished picture out of a basic sketch, but I can't sketch for my life. I can't envision what a character would look like in my head in a certain position. I sure as hell, and the times that I can, I sure as hell can't put that down on paper. You know, my best attempt was probably Iron Gut as a bartender, and that kind of looked nice, but I basically, again, had to commission someone else to make a sketch of that I then inked and colored. But, yeah, basically, yeah. I wish I could sketch. I would gladly trade my ability to ink and color for just the ability to sketch whatever the hell I want out. I really would. Because, I mean, inking and coloring is great, but there are so many ideas I have for pictures that I wish I could do myself, but I can't. Oh well, you know, I've done a full thing from an original sketch to ink and color before, and that was the commission for Jace X1 Game Guy, and that turned out fairly alright, I guess. I'm a little bit unhappy with it, but he was happy with it, so that was that. Yeah, oh, and I've just done a trade with Hero of Yif, where he made me an animated juggling avatar, and so I'm gonna do I'm gonna do a picture of Iron getting stung in the butt by a bee for him. It's kind of silly, but you know, it's what he likes, and so I'm gonna do it for him. And yeah, I'm a little bit about how I'm gonna sketch it out, but you know, I know once I get to the inking and coloring stage, it's gonna be no problem. It'll be done in less than a day for him. I mean, this entire picture took less than an hour to ink and color fully, and as you can see, I'm like 3/4 of the way done already with inking this alone. You know, Iron's body, belly, arms, legs, all done. So, same for Greg. Now all that's left is the head for both of them. Yeah. So, gills. And yeah. So 12 minutes, 18 seconds in, and yeah, we're pretty much getting to the last section of inking. Oh, and this is another great thing about the pen tool is, you know, Gothyk kind of screwed up my character a bit. Well, kind of, yeah, and the couple drawings that I commissioned of him, he kind of screwed it up, where he made my snout kind of dip like that. It doesn't. It's one single curve. But that's easy to fix when inking by just using the pen tool and going whoop, and then right click stroke, bam, and the snout is fixed. And that's one of the great things about inking pictures, is you can change whatever you like right on the spot, you know. And it works. It works. It works. It works. It works. And also, that's another thing with inking that I really love is I like to always stick to the lines that the original sketch did, but you don't have to. If you think a line would be better placed someplace else, you can easily. This is the time to make new things and do new things. And okay, now this is important right here. Zooming in on the nostril. Here. Obviously, I've outlined the thing, but I've also taken the brush tool and I've reduced it to 2 pixels instead, because these tiny objects need smaller lines in order to, you know, not look like blobs. So I just did that, and now I changed it back to 3 for that, and yeah, as I go back, you'll notice that those lines are a little bit thinner than all the others, and that works. Okay, now to Greg's head, starting with the smile. And heading up underneath. Bam. There's his beak. Or, well, half of it. Big cheekbone. Neck. This was actually, to be completely honest, this was my first time ever inking an internal view of any sort, which kind of was nice. But you know, I did what I could. It looks a little bit, but yeah, what you gonna do? It works. In the finished pic, it works nicely, so I leave it like that. Okay, and that's the last regular line of everything. Oh, yep, one more eyebrow there. Okay, now for the eyes. And the eyes I always do in a separate layer. So I make a new layer. After, of course, I save. I make a new layer, black, name it eye detail, fix the A, and then invert it so that it's all black again. And now I'm filling in the white with, again, 2 pixels as my width for the things, and boom, there's one outline. Boom, that's gonna need to be fixed in a bit. And undo that, do that, change that over, there we go. And right click stroke, bam, and then right about there. And there is the eye outline. And now down to do Greg's. Pretty easy, same sort of thing. And of course that's a line that wasn't there, but I of course had to add there in order to complete the eye. Because that's one of the big differences between finished pictures and sketched pictures is sketched pictures you can go kind of half-assed about them. Inked picture is, and finished pictures you can't. Of course, now fill in the black pupil area, and there you go. Your inking is done. Yay! Now if you don't want to color, you can save that, and that looks so much better than the sketch, I think. And it makes coloring a hell of a lot easier if you want to get someone to color it. Now though, I'm just making a couple of folders to organize things, like the color layers, the ink stuff. Okay. So I'm starting to color. Now what I've done is I've copied all of those ink layers and rasterized them, basically made them into one image that's transparent. And I'm using the Magic Select tool to select all the areas that I want to fill with Iron Gut's body color, which is red. After using the Magic Select, do a little, modify expand on the selected area, and then create new fill layer. And from there, I just fill in all the white parts there. Because, you know, the Magic Select tool isn't perfect. It's great, but, you know, you gotta do this. You gotta go through by hand and fix those little corner areas where white is, like right there on the heel, right there, on the toe there, you know, and you just fix them one by one, little by little, and then you move that down underneath the ink layers, and now I make it match Iron Gut's regular color, and right there. So that's that. You see how easy that was? It's brilliant. So again, do the same thing for Greg. Select, increase the selection size, and make the color layer gray. And again, fill in the little white spaces. And this part is the most tedious, is looking around, finding all those white spaces and filling them all in. Takes a lot longer than you might think. But yeah, just look around, you'll find them all eventually. And there you go. Attention to detail. And I believe that's everything, so now I make the color match and drop it back down into the color section. Okay, now to do the head. And the reason I'm doing the head in another layer is because I have to make it somewhat transparent because it's an internal thing. Okay, so magic select and boom, there we go. And yeah, fill in the white spaces, and there we go. And that's your basic coloring. So yeah. So now we got to do the other colors, like the eye color, the eye white and teeth and stuff. And oh, a couple of white spaces I missed. Yep. Looking around for more, because you're never gonna see them all. Never. And searching around, more white spaces, more white spaces, more white spaces, and there we go. Okay, so now I can delete that layer that was just floating around there. I don't need the sketch anymore. And now what I do is I make the eye color layer. So set it to all black, and then what I do, make it the blue color that's going to stay as eye color, fill in where that's going to be with the brush, and then do the same thing again, make another layer, fill it in, and then erase the edges a little bit, clean it up, and then change it to match his eye color, which is green in the left eye. And there you go. And those are your eyes. Now, one thing you notice is they look pretty dull and boring. They're not sparkly like regular eyes are. So you gotta add the eye sparkle, which is just a white layer that you put a little dot in the right place. And this is a little tough to do, but you just look at a photograph of somebody's eye, or a photograph where somebody's got their eyes open, and you'll see how the light kind of works inside of it. And if we zoom out, you'll see those eyes now are full of life and look like real eyes. Okay, so now that the eyes are done, what's next? Oh yes, the teeth and eye white. Because right now you'll notice, nothing was keeping them white except for the background. So all I got to do here is fill them in, fill that in. And again, I'm just using the brush tool because I don't need to be really precise here. There you go. Fill in the teeth, fill in the teeth. Boom, clean it up a little bit, and there you go. And there's your eyes and teeth. And now, one of the things you'll notice is that kind of doesn't look right. The neck doesn't attach to where the body is correctly. So that's real easy to fix. Just use the pen tool and make a shape, change it up, and fill it in the right layer. And there you go. Now his neck is actually attached to his body the right way. Woohoo! Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now for the fancy stuff. Here first I'm doing the background into something that fits with those colors. That right there, that bluish purple, beautifully complements those colors. And of course I put a gradient on it too. And now I make the shadow underneath them. And this is real easy. All you gotta do is just make a black layer, make a path around, just underneath where you think the shadow would be. Here I am changing it a little bit to match it better. That looks about right. And then fill it. And then what I do is I blur it, which is filter Gaussian blur, and it doesn't really look right back around the butt area, so I cut off a little bit. And, I cut off a little bit there too. And then, once again, Gaussian blur. And that looks like a good shadow. And then I drop the opacity on it to make it actually look like a gentle shadow. And there you go. That's that layer. Okay. So now, if you know my character Iron Gut, he's not just, totally red. He's red and white, with a white front. So I just copied the red layer, and now I'm using the pen tool again to make a shape around where the white area is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically make a second mask on that. So, yeah, just using the pen tool, make those lines wherever the white area is going to be. You don't need to really worry about it that much, because you can clean it up later, especially. But what I'm going to do here is I've already made a rasterized layer, which is basically, pixeled layer. This one's going to be a path mask, and it's going to go basically, yeah, I make the path area and then apply mask again, and it's going to add a second mask on there. It's like layering a piece of cardboard with a hole down it, down over the picture, and then another piece of cardboard with a hole in it. And you can only see through where those two holes are. So here we go, fixing it some more. Okay. Yeah, fix that big one. There we go. And now, watch this. Right click, create mask, and there you go. And now you can see it fills in white only where I want it to. And so there you go. Do a little cleanup here on all these layers. But basically that's it for the basic colors. So yeah, after the cleanup, the coloring is done. Yep, more cleanup, more cleanup, more cleanup. And yeah, I think I'm gonna change the snout in a second here. Yep, there I go. And yeah, because he's more red than he is white, so move the white back a bit, rather forward, but you get the idea. There we go. That's about right. And there you go. So that's done. So now we got to do some really quick and basic shading by adding a gradient overlay and making it a lighter gradient so that it's just like barely visible, and that gives you your first bit of definition. But what's going to come next is the shading, which right now I'm just making sure to add that layer mask so it never gets modified again. Rasterize, there you go. Okay, so now it's time to shade. So I make another layer of black, and oh no, I'm adding a pattern to the background. Okay, yeah, that comes first. That's that for that. So now I make another black layer and call that shading, and invert it so it's black by default. And now this part is one of the hard parts about doing this, and you just have to figure out what looks right on your own. Because there really is no guide for this. It all depends on what position the body's in, what position all the limbs are in and everything, and where your light is coming from. I think photography would help a lot with this, but I'm not sure. But basically, you just got to learn how light works and how shadows work, and then just use your pen tool to make an outline of where the dark part's going to be. Right click when it's finished, fill, and then delete it and get to work on your next one. Same kind of method as your stroke, only this one, you can be a lot less precise with it and still have things look good. And yeah, as you can see, I've already made the foot look a hell of a lot more three-dimensional and realistic. Well, not realistic, but three-dimensional. Sorry about that. But yeah, and this is also going to take you a while, but it's way worth it. So yeah, add the shading down on the leg right there. Then on the back side of the thigh, I think. Oh, no, I'm skipping that and going straight to the fingers. I'll come back to the thigh in a bit. And yeah. This shading method, I used to shade by using the burn and dodge tool in Photoshop, where I would just, darken, and lighten. And that, well, it makes a great result. It takes you forever. Absolutely. I could spend hours and still not have something looking right. But this method, I think I learned from just looking at Vash Dragon's art for a long time, or Neon Dragon art online. And, just going, hey, they do their shading by just making, a little blackened area, or, and it's just like a cell shading type of thing. And I learned to do it from there. So there you go, right there. It's really easy, but it makes a really nice result. And yeah, it works. And there you go. You can see as I toggle it on and off, it looks way better than, no shading at all. And now I'm doing the back of the thigh. Okay. Sorry. So there you go. There's the butt. Of course. Yep. And that's one of the things you want to do, is you want to toggle it on and off so that, see if it looks right when it's on. Because it really does help to review what you're doing in your art. It really does. Whenever you're doing something, step back and look at it from far away a lot. Like really often do that. It'll help. Yes, it'll help you to see things that don't look right so often. Okay. So yeah, that's it for Greg. He's fully shaded. So now, oh, and also don't feel tempted to go all out shading the face area, even though it's the most detailed, people are going to be looking at it the most. Simple really is better in terms of shading, especially with this method. The simpler it looks, the better it looks. All you're looking for is just a little bit of that definition to make it look, hey, there's a shadow there, and that's it. Anything else and it's overkill. So there you go. Iron Guts arms. That first arm now. It's got to look better than that. So changing it up some. Yeah, fingers. Dun 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 dun. And the thumb. Thumb 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 thumb. I don't know, I just get silly sometimes. Okay. And shading the big bicep now. Yep. I'll bet you're bored by now, aren't you? Well, hopefully if you are, you've started to do some inking and coloring of a picture you know on your own. Especially because, you know, it really is, this method is just makes things so much easier. It really does. My old method of doing things was so tough, but this really works well. You know, it's tedious, it takes you a long time, but it really works. So yeah, I mean, just look at those, the folds in the skin there, you know, that they look like folds. I mean, how else could I say it, you know? And that, of course, I doesn't look right, so I'm fixing it right now, you know. Moving on to the feet, I'll come back to the belly later. You know, you know, as you can see, you know, I'm being careful with where the lines are going and how they connect. You know, it's just careful work. Right click, fill path, boom, delete path, boom, start the next one. Dun, 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 dun. Outlining, right click, fill path, delete path, boom. And you know, you just do this over and over again. You repeat this mantra like a chant, you know. Outline, boom, complete the path, right click, fill path, right click, delete path, start the next one. And yeah, and just that fast, I'm almost done with shading iron too. You know, all I gotta do is start shading the tail, then the head, and yeah, that's about it, I think. Well, other than fixing the belly. But yeah, it's just that easy, as it were. You know, fix that up real quick, then right click fill, right click delete. You know, now I fix the belly. There you go. Shoo, shoo, shoo. And then this one, delete a little bit of it. Right click fill with black instead of fill with white. And there you go, pretty much. You are just about done. Now, one of the things I like to do now is, instead of having all those hard things, is I like to soften the shading up a bit. So I just duplicate the layer, go up to filters, Gaussian blur it a little bit so that it blurs the edges. And then once you do that, of course, you got to take and fill in the edge next to the line, because, you know, it's not connected to that line, so it gets blurred there too. So you got to connect it up again, and that's a bit tedious, which is what I'm doing now. But basically, other than that, you're done. You are essentially done. You could add other things like pattern overlays onto the color layers if you want to, like, give skin texture or stuff. I don't really care for that. But yeah, as you can see, I'm, you know, filling in the space, and yeah, done. Done and done. Thank you guys for watching, and hopefully I've successfully taught you how to ink, color, and shade a picture. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye bye. Fatal Glory 128 on Fur Affinity.